Last weekend, I spent 2 evenings in South Beach, Miami, taking film pictures. The first night I was there, I met up with a photographer who lives down there, someone who I've been following for a while, and I really admire his work. I think he photographs Miami and truly emulates that original Miami Vice feel in his photographs. He does an incredible job. He implements vibrancy and color, which in South Beach and Miami, that is kind of a statement for the look of it and the feel. I highly recommend you check him out. I am really grateful for him driving me around and just showing me where he takes a lot of his pictures. And in today's video, I want to discuss a few things. First thing, the difference between taking pictures at night without a tripod and with a tripod. When I was with Chris photographing the first night I was down there, we didn't use a tripod, I didn't use a shutter release. We both were shooting on Portra 800. As someone who started out with digital photography, switching into film, shooting at night, I am religious about having a tripod with me and a shutter release cable with me because I want to make sure the images are as crisp and clear as they possibly can be. But I realized that I actually kind of like taking film pictures without a shutter release or a tripod. I think that it gives a different feel to the images that I realized that I actually really like. And I did shoot my second night there with a tripod and a shutter release cable. And I actually went a little bit earlier so I could catch sundown. I got there an hour before sundown. And all the footage you're gonna see was from the second night, but I will display the photos that I took the first night, and I'll make sure I note that when the images pop up on your screen. So I'm gonna start with the images I took at the beach before sundown. Upon arriving to the beach and paying for parking, I walked to the closest entrance to the beach, which I saw this vibrant green and yellow lifeguard stand, and I started my shooting there. I really enjoyed taking these pictures. They're not my favorite of the batch, but that's usually how it goes. I usually love the tail end of my roll or the second or third roll better than the first couple of pictures. There were seagulls everywhere in the sky. They were flying in flocks, flying really low to the ground, over the water on the shore, over the sand, but they were flying so fast that I couldn't really tell what my composition was going to look like in any of these pictures. I do love this one with the birds in the foreground on the sand, and then in the back left of the image there's this perfect crashing wave with the cruise line ships in the back. And then I do love this one of this one bird with its wings fully out in the middle of these two Miami buildings. After spending a little too much time there shooting these birds and getting pictures that I don't love, I started to walk along the boardwalk and I stumbled across this one hotel. Moving on, I then walked what felt like a mile down the beach to this other lifeguard stand that was orange and red. At one point I started sprinting a little bit because I really started to see the color in the sky change from this turquoise blue to now this like magenta purple, and I really did not want to miss that. I absolutely love this one. I love the colors. Florida for me is like a love-hate relationship because I really want to move out west. There's something about the ocean here. It's vibrantly blue and turquoise. It's very inviting. Yeah, I guess just as a side note, that's just, I think one of the things that really keeps me here is the ocean water that we have, and I love the way it photographs. This image of the lifeguard stand I really like. It is a long exposure, decently. I think it is 1 second long. This is about 5 minutes after sundown. So as of right now on South Beach, A1A or Ocean Drive is currently blocked off so people can walk on the streets. Back in the day, it used to be open for people to drive through, but I think they realized that South Beach is quickly becoming a very popular touristy location. I want to first start off with these 3 images from the Starlight Hotel. Just to the right of it, there is this 2-story bar, and it has neon blue light strips around it and chairs and tables on the top floor with a balcony that you can see. I love the vibrant pink on the front side of the building, and then to the right of it, this turquoise blue. Shortly after taking this picture, I took a few steps closer and got this one. I love the star from the light that I got here, and the blue neon lights on the top right of the image. I really think what creates this image is the separation of the composition by colors. And as you can see in this one, I'm pretty sure this was a 4-second long exposure, and you can tell with the palm tree on the top right of the image. It was also a pretty windy evening, so all my long exposures that night, you can see that, but I kind of like it. Moving on to the hotel to the left of it, vibrantly blue, and I absolutely love it. I also like that on the top floor, the rooms on the left and the right, curtains are opened and the lights are on. I feel like it adds to the image. And then here's a bit of a closer perspective and a longer exposure, I believe at 8 seconds. I'm not really sure what I like about this picture. I can't really narrow it down. I just really like the coloring. These next 3 images that I'm going to show from my first night there walking around with Chris without my tripod. I know that they were all shot at a shutter speed of 1/15. And we got really lucky that night with some drizzling rain as we were driving down there. And then as soon as we got there, it had stopped, but the ground was still wet. So for example, in like this picture, I was able to use in my composition the ground having texture to it and really giving that tropical feel of South Beach and South Florida in general, where we just get random pockets of rain and the ground is always wet and the neon lights or the street lights that you'll see bounce off. And I really like that in this picture. I was able to capture that true feeling of South Florida. Even in this one, I really love, if you zoom in really close, there's clearly a bit of a shake to the image because my shutter speed was so low. It feels true to the eyes and what it felt like actually standing there and the true exposure of this setting. Also with this one of the Starlight Hotel, obviously it's a very dark image and the subject is clearly just the sign, but with film there's this faded look when you're shooting in like a darker exposure and you don't have the option of a shutter release cable. I do really like these 3 images even though they're not perfect exposures. This is proving to me that each picture doesn't need to be perfect and crystal clear and shot at the perfect exposure and everything has to be perfect and calculated. I do think that you can still get beautiful images just being out and shooting for fun and not always having to have all of your gear with you to capture perfect pictures. Moving on, this next picture I took was in one of the hotels in the hallways. I kind of just walked in and took this. I really like it. I really do like hallway images. I think that they give a spring break feeling, and it's late at night, you know, it's been a really long day and you're trying to just get back to your hotel room and you're just really tired. It's a nostalgic element that I like to capture in hallways of hotels. I also really like this one of this one-piece bathing suit with the hot pink and the turquoise blue. It really gives that element of 80s strong color club night scene partying on South Beach feeling. I don't know. On South Beach there is an absurd amount of tourist trap shops. Now these next set of images were shot on my first night with Chris, so without my tripod and shutter release. This one I purposely shot moving my camera down, giving it that extra shake. My shutter was set at 1/8 here, so as I was taking the picture I just held it like this, and as I was pressing the button I just vertically pointed it down. Now I want to jump into a next set of 3 pictures I took from my first night there. It was just outside of this hotel. I absolutely loved the interior of this place. I don't know if you follow Instagram accounts that are like 80s interiors. This hotel lobby felt like it was straight out of the 80s. If you can't already tell, my favorite generation and my favorite decade of time is definitely the 80s. I love the music, the colors, and especially the interior design. And the plants indoors, just a beautiful setting to photograph. So these last 2 were actually taken in Mimo, Miami. Chris and I drove back up north. I had 2 pictures left I could take on my roll, and these were the last 2. I love the raindrops on the window. Again, truly bringing in that true feeling of South Florida and the weather we have to deal with all the time. So yeah, those are all the images that I love from that day. There are a few that I didn't show, but overall, it was a fun day. I am really happy that I shot in South Beach. It was something that I had been really wanting to do, and I don't know why it took me so long to do it. I mean, I only live 45 minutes north of Miami. The traffic is also really bad. Like, there could be traffic at 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday for no apparent reason. It's not as bad as LA, but it's not a fun place to be. And if you're someone like me who tries to avoid sceneries that have been shot before millions of times, I think that every photographer has their own eye, and especially if you're using different cameras, you could still get beautiful images and make it your own. So that's gonna wrap it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.